Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask an Engineer podcast, where I endeavor to answer your questions about engineering, math, art, and science. If there's anything you really want to know, submit your questions in the comments, or you can join my Discord. There's actually a subcategory for Ask an Engineer and post your questions there. And then after that, you can join the community and have a conversation with all kinds of other makers out there. Thanks for joining in, and I hope it's enjoyable. This week's topic about AI is rather elaborate. And in order to answer the question that I was posed, I have to go through a lot of ways in which AI functions and give you a background in order to get there. So bear with me. But I think it's a decent discussion to have. And I think it's more factual than a lot of things you're hearing out there in regards to AI. So I hope it's informative. But as always, I encourage you to do your own research and make up your own mind. I do express my opinions here along with the facts. And feel free to take those with a grain of salt because it is just my opinion. And just because I'm an engineer doesn't mean I know everything. So I encourage you to do your own research and make up your own mind. And without further ado, let's begin the episode. So I got a question from Homestead DIY, Homestead Do It Yourself. It's actually another channel. You should go check it out. He says, how will an engineer's job change with AI becoming so prevalent? Today it feels like AI is just a glorified search engine. I agree. But over time it will get better and better. I think it's an assumption that it will get better and better, but I wanted to dig in, and so I did some research on this, at least in the last week. So you can't say I'm an expert at this point, but I tried to do my diligence and so I can give the best response I can. Is it real or is it a hoax? The disclaimer is I am not a software engineer. I'm not an expert on all things AI. I'm not anything of the kind. I just did some research and asked around and kind of got a decent explanation for what it is and what it's capable of at this point and what I've seen. So I can give you a summary of that and we'll see where it goes, and you can research and make up your own mind too. And really, unless you're a software engineer in this kind of field, you're really not going to ever know anything about it unless you know Bill Gates or Zuckerberg. You're still not going to know much about it. I'm sure everybody remembers about a year ago, they started cramming this down our throats and you started seeing AI everywhere on YouTube. It's like, it's going to change the world. It's going to do this. It's going to do that, but never give you a specific answer as to how. And the only evidence you see of this is weird art animations and mind-blowing weird morphic things that you see visually on, YouTube and Instagram. And so it looks like it can do anything, like it gives you that impression. Like if it can do that, if it can generate video from scratch and develop an entire world and that looks somewhat realistic from scratch, then it's got to be relatively powerful, right? I mean, you can make an assumption. Upon starting the research for this, like just typing it into Google, really the first page is all hype. I could not find any like real factual things that said how it's created, what it's used for, how it's actually being used, like concrete evidence. You could find some articles that would say it's been used for medical research and had helped them crunch some numbers due to its sheer computing power. So that I can see how it could possibly work. But other than that, that's all I could find for myself. And as any good engineer knows, if you don't have an answer and you're looking for some cutting edge stuff, you go consult an intern. We have interns at my work, and I knew one was building a neural network in his spare time, of all things. And so a neural network is a form of an AI, and he knew way more about this than I did and gave me some resources to look for as well. Some of the things that I learned are here. I wanted to know like an actual definition of AI, and usually it stands for artificial intelligence, but it could be automation intelligence. It's different because when you think of AI, you typically think of Terminator or, The Matrix or something sci-fi oriented, like an artificial sentient being that has its own willpower and its own choices. That is not the case here. This is obviously just a processing engine that can give you certain results given a certain input. But the actual definition of AI is the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision-making, and translation between languages. So they use concepts like machine learning, algorithms, and data science principles to achieve their goals. And they're coded in programs like Python and actually even Java. And there's a rudimentary structure that they follow. There's usually an input and then hidden layers, which actually is where all the computing, where all the computation happens. It uses a form of linear algebra in the code to create weighted averages of statistical weights that allow it to make a decision. As it goes through the matrix of all the hidden layers, it decides what is the best output based on the weights and the statistical examples that it calculates. So it's deciding how to represent a pixel through math, and that's how all this really works somewhat. There are other examples like transformers, like ChatGPT. It's a transformer type AI, and it uses vectors somehow. I don't really fully understand how that works, but it uses inclinations, or it uses a way to choose the words that are most likely to resemble human speech. So when you go and ask it to write you a paper or a script or something, it chooses the most likely combination of words based on the weighted averages that it calculates as well. So it's an interesting thing, you know, and they claim that this is a black box. I've heard two competing things. Like, they say it's a black box. They don't really know how to trace it from input to output, whatever answer it gives or whatever image it generates. They don't know how it got there. They say they can't trace it. And on top of that, you should be able to trace a computer program, when you think. I actually think that it has so much data in there, it makes it extremely difficult to trace. I don't think it's impossible, but it makes it difficult to trace the calculations all the way through the entire program. I'm not sure if I believe the black box thing, but I do believe that it is very difficult to go through and trace it to verify the results, to make sure it calculated correctly. This leads into whether you can trust the output it gives you or not. So if you can't verify, how can you trust what answer it's giving you? That's my question. Thus far, it's had superfluous implementation as far as I'm concerned. I do think it could be valuable with research if it's number crunching data for you to give you trends and to give you an inclination as to what the correct answer is in medical fields, scientific fields, all that kind of stuff. So I think that that could be really useful. It can generate programming code. So I heard of an example where it said people prompted the AI, a computer programming AI, to emulate the game Snake, just as it was on Atari, and it actually successfully programmed the game for Snake, and you could play it based on what the prompt was. And so, you know, it was able to duplicate an example of a game. So, you know, it's good at copying things. And then it can create art, you can write essays, you know, help students with their homework everywhere, make suggestions for YouTube titles, and it has picture recognition through pixels. So that's an interesting thing, where it calculates the odds of the pixels that it represents a dog or a cat. You know, it can actually take in several examples of pictures and make a decision as to which animal it is. So, you know, it's all weighted averages, it's all statistical, and, you know, the more information you feed it, the more it learns, the better able it is to decide correctly. As someone who values creativity, I do not necessarily like the artistic generational things or generative designs, like where it generates animations, where it generates pictures and all that kind of stuff. It takes away the fun. Like, it should, in the very least, AI should take away the mundane, horrible tasks that we don't want to do anymore, as opposed to taking away the fun things that we do want to do. So you could look at it two ways. You could look at it as taking away the fun part of creativity, or you could say it's a tool for creating a different kind of art. So is it nothing more than a pencil, or is it going to completely take it away from us, and people will use that all the time, versus actually employing graphic designers or animators or people with actually creative instincts and intuition? So it leads into some moral implications there as to what we actually want to use it for. And that's frustrating to think about. It's hard enough to get a creative job in this world and get paid for it, and we don't need any more things taking it away. And I think that art and creativity is an expression of the human condition, and I don't really think that that should be taken away from us. I think it represents exactly what we're going through, our state of mind. It tells a story. It tells a story from the person who made it. There's lots of things involved with artistic or creative ventures, and I think that they're very valuable and undervalued, especially in American culture. So I don't want AI undermining that any more than it already has been. Moving on. So we've covered it. I think that it's good for plowing through large amounts of data. The sheer computational power of an AI is quite nice. I do think that it could be used for that, but there are other falsehoods for prompts whenever you give an AI a task. So let's say you give it a goal of making paper clips. So there's kind of a story about, you say you task an AI with making paper clips, make the most possible. So if you tell it to do that, it's going to try to buy some land, it's going to build a factory or hire people to build a factory, it's going to set up all the manufacturing processes, and it's going to start making paper clips. And then it's going to start refining the process to make it more efficient as possible. And then at some point, if it deems that a human is impeding the process, it'll either get rid of them or wouldn't be above murdering somebody just to make more paper clips. It will do anything to accomplish its goal. It has no preconceived morality or stipulation unless you tell it to. So you have to be very specific about your prompts, about what you want it to do. And it's almost kind of like thinking about having a genie. I don't know if anybody's ever thought about this before, but I sure did. If I ever had 3 wishes, you know, you want to say you wish to be a prince somewhere. Would you be a prince of a very poor country that's at war? Or would you be a prince of a very rich country with lots of friends and wealth and all kinds of nice stuff? Like, you have to very thoroughly stipulate that, you know, you want this scenario. Otherwise, you know, it's like, what did you wish for? The genie's supposed to read your mind. Another example of AI is Tesla's self-driving cars. And we all heard this a couple of years ago when they started saying they were going to start doing self-driving cars. And I doubted it immediately. And then you start hearing about how they're pulling it from the market because they can't successfully avoid accidents. The AI in those cars would make poor decisions, and it caused several deaths as far as I know, or at least accidents. It's kind of hard to predict what other humans are going to do in traffic, and it's kind of hard to predict what the AI is going to do, and they can't react harmoniously with each other, no matter how smart they think they are. It's very difficult to make these AIs work in real-world systems until they develop further. As AI is developed, it progresses more towards a quote-unquote general intelligence, which means it generally can apply problem solving to just about everything. It's not just specifically oriented to generating video or generating text or, you know, search engine queries and things like that. It would be like a human, capable of solving most problems or adapting and being able to figure it out eventually. So we haven't gotten there yet. It's not an intelligent, super aware being at this point. It's just basically a computer program that gets an input and provides an output based on the information it has. So there's ethical implications with this. You know, if you don't give it enough input, will it perform horrible things to achieve its end goal? We have to be very careful about how we implement this. And I think corporations are very eager to put this in because it's a money-making thing. AI seems real big. It seems like it's going to revolutionize things. They talk really well about it. And I think a lot of corporations will jump in feet first in order to implement this because they don't want to get left behind, but it might be not necessarily mature enough to actually do anything for them, or it's going to cause some issues when they put it into their processes and doesn't actually achieve what it's supposed to. So now back to the question from Homestead. I had to give a history in order to get to this point. I actually went to a video generative website and prompted it to make a video about AI and engineering, and this is the video that it came up with.
If your toolbox looks like a sci-fi movie, you're a mechanical engineer. Imagine this. You're designing a complex machine. Instead of hours of trial and error, AI algorithms analyze thousands of designs in minutes. AI can predict stress points, recommend materials, and optimize performance. But wait, there's more. Maintenance gets a makeover too. AI-driven predictive maintenance can forecast issues before they even happen, saving you time and money. No more unexpected breakdowns. And let's not forget about smart manufacturing, Kyle. AI enhances precision in production lines, boosting efficiency and reducing waste. Think of it like having a genius assistant who never sleeps. From design to maintenance and manufacturing, AI is revolutionizing the way we work. So next time someone says AI is just a buzzword, you can tell them it's the future of mechanical engineering. Cool, right? Stay tuned for more insights on how to level up your engineering game with AI.
It's pretty convincing, huh? Like, it actually comes up with a very thorough argument for why AI is good for engineering, but did you hear anything specifically that it would do? It just shows you a lot of robot arms and it talks about efficiency. It doesn't say what it's actually being used to do. Nobody ever talks about specifically how it's applied. It's just crystal ball thing that's supposed to magically make things better. If they do know how to implement this, I haven't seen it yet and I'm not privy to the information. As far as actual engineering applications are concerned, I can see AI being implemented for optimizing structural design and using the least amount of material to make the strongest supports possible for, like, say, a bridge or any structural design of any kind. And, you know, it might help efficiently save material or make better choices. But these things already exist. They're not necessarily in SolidWorks right now that I know of, or Inventor or Creo or CATIA or anything like that. So I haven't seen it be fully implemented into the real world, so therefore, who knows whether it'll become commercially viable or not. I could be wrong, so if anybody knows about that, let me know. So technically AI could come up with CAD designs, so you could say, hey, I want to design a manifold that's this diameter and has this many ports on it and has this type of thread on it. You know, you could kind of give some prompts and have it generate CAD for you, but quite honestly, that's another creative venture for me. Like, it's one of the reasons why I got into engineering. I don't want it to take away the fun part for me, but technically I bet it could do it. So if you have a generic part that you want to get a head start on without having to start with a circle and extrude it and do all the features on it before you can do everything else, you could just have an audio prompt to get somewhere, and then maybe you could fine tune the design and apply real engineering to it yourself and use your intuition and your education to make better decisions. I don't know how that would work, but I would really, really like for AI to do the things that I dislike doing, such as work instructions for people out on the floor or ordering parts for POs. I would kill if I could have a meeting summarized and list bullet points of all the key things that were issued to do within it, or the points that I could understand. And I could just get a recording of the meeting and not have to spend hours in a meeting room discussing minutia. It'd be really nice to have. So, you know, if it could improve the more tedious things of engineering, I'd be all for it. So I wanted to challenge the AI. It was really good at talking well about itself. So here's a video of it speaking poorly about itself, and it is still convincing.
Hey everyone, let's talk about something that's been buzzing around for a while now, AI. Yeah, artificial intelligence, it's everywhere. Social media, your phone, even in your fridge. But here's the kicker. AI is just a big tech scam, seriously. I know, you've heard all the hype about how AI is going to revolutionize everything from healthcare to how we order our morning coffee. But let's break it down for a moment. First off, when you hear AI, what comes to mind? Probably some kind of super intelligent being that can think and feel, right? Wrong. AI is mostly a bunch of algorithms designed to perform specific tasks. These tasks aren't even that impressive when you think about it. Recommending you the next video to watch or suggesting who to follow on Instagram. Come on, that's not revolutionary. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Big tech companies are using AI to squeeze every last bit of data out of you. They track your behavior, your likes, your dislikes, everything. Then they sell that data to advertisers who bombard you with targeted ads. That's the real purpose of AI and social media corporate greed. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why your Facebook feed is filled with posts and ads that seem eerily tailored to you? That's AI at work, and it's all about keeping you hooked, so you spend more time on their platform. The more time you spend, the more data they collect, and the more money they make. But wait, there's more. A lot of these so-called AI innovations are just smoke and mirrors. You've probably heard about AI in healthcare making breakthroughs, right? Well, many of those breakthroughs are exaggerated or not even real. AI can't replace the nuanced decision-making of a human doctor, at least not yet. And let's not forget about the ethical issues. These AI systems can be biased, reflecting the prejudices of the data they're trained on. This isn't just a glitch, it's a fundamental flaw. So not only is AI not as capable as it's made out to be, but it can also be downright harmful. So why are we all buying into this hype? Simple. Big tech companies have invested billions into AI, and they need you to believe in it to get a return on their investment. It's classic marketing. Hype up a product, make people think they can't live without it, and then profit. In reality, AI is far from the miracle solution it's painted to be. It's a tool for big tech to keep us engaged, collect our data, and make money off of us. So next time you hear about AI changing the world, take a moment to think about who's really benefiting from all this. Spoiler, it's not you.
I thought that was rather interesting that it came up with all that. I did prompt it to think about social media. I did prompt it to think about corporations using it. So I gave it some guidance and it provided a very convincing video. I think that the AI is being pushed by tech companies because it's a big money business. I don't really think it's useful at this point for anyone. They have tried to implement it into the social media feeds to algorithmically keep people on the website longer. And honestly, I feel like that's a failure. I think it's actually ruined those services because they've optimized it for watch time and not for quality. And when those services can actually recommend videos I want to watch consistently, or music I want to listen to consistently from Spotify, then I'll believe that AI could actually be useful for something more concrete like engineering. For now, it's going to take a while, and maybe in 10, 20 years, it could be really useful. I can foresee it working, but right now it just has this hollow feeling like it's being pushed and marketed upon us, and I want to sit back and wait and just watch and see what happens.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
One of the things that discourages me about AI is the fact that I have automation at my work, and these are based on PLC controllers or Python controllers or other things, and these are direct programs that aren't as elaborate as AI, yet we still have difficulty with them. If those simple systems that cost $2.5 million to make for manufacturing can't consistently perform, what makes you think that something more elaborate, more complicated can actually produce reliable results, especially when you can't actually check due to the black box scenario? So if you can't trace the way it's thinking back to the source and verify its results, how could you ever trust it? It's just a question I have. We are not as advanced as we like to think we are. I think we humans are quite smart, don't get me wrong, but we still have some things to work on. I want to read this to make sure I don't mess it up. Ultimately, AI is a tool that is only as good as its masters, but we have to train it to be ethical, accurate, and truly useful. Currently, the hype is not proven, and until it is, we can't use it for anything besides mostly gimmicks. Until that changes, engineering jobs shouldn't change at all unless profit-hungry corporations implement without much research because big tech says it will save them money. I fully expect this to start happening. Like I bet at my job it's going to start creeping in. They're going to implement AI for Teams, for email, for Lean Six Sigma or something like that. I guarantee you they're going to start bringing it in because it's been touted as a solution to everything. I'll believe it when I see it. With that in mind, I encourage you to go do your own research. I will have listed some links in the description from resources I've found during this process, some more realistic, really deep, intensive stuff. So if you don't have a cup of coffee, get ready because you're going to need to stay awake for those. I think it's useful to make up your own mind and don't take my opinion for granted. Go look up stuff and think for yourself. But this is what I've found and what I've experienced within my realm of expertise, and this is what I've found and what I've experienced within my life. So I've been wrong before. Case in point, I'm using a phone that I never thought was possible. I never thought a phone could combine an iPod, a camera, and a computer all together and make one item. Used to you started to combine things that were traditionally separate before together, you would create complications and then the products never worked. But they've really improved these sort of things. So iPhones really proved me wrong on that. Thanks for watching. This has been the first episode of Ask an Engineer, and I highly encourage you to submit your comments and questions, or you can submit them on my Discord. There's a link to it in my profile page, and you can also see it in the description for this video. And you can join the community, and then you can talk anytime. We can talk about this topic, or we can add new ones, and I'd really love input from people who have questions engineering related or science related or anything of that nature. I really enjoy discussing these things, and it kind of gets me out of my wheelhouse. So this one has definitely been pushing my boundaries a little bit. Discussing ideas and discussing creativity leads to more innovation, and I think it's great to have these conversations with people. So give me your best shot and see if you can stump me. This one is definitely a stumper, and thanks to Homestead Do It Yourself for giving this question. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.